Okay, there we go. Alrighty, I would like to apologize. I've had to reboot um, and come on. I don't know if I've got capability to share the links or not. I had some major difficulty today and started the live stream and ran into another complication. I do apologize to everyone who had planned on attending tonight. And what I'm going to do is see if there's a way that I can reach out to people. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on. I do apologize. I will share this introductory with everyone. What I said in the beginning of the previous video I'd started is we had a team get together yesterday, and during the team get together, I'd taken a lot of stuff out of the office. I brought a lot of stuff back in. We were prepping for our month at Lake Hickory Haunts, the haunted trail there, Roadhiss. And as I was bringing stuff back in, I hit some wires, knocked a few things loose, and I spent this afternoon trying to put it all back together again. Thought I had it working. I missed our start time. I do apologize for that. And then I came back to started to get it together, start the video late, start the live stream late, and then realized that I didn't have audio, and that is pretty critical for this. So I apologize for that again. The contest that I put out there, we will extend that. Obviously, I will not do it this evening, but we'll do it for the next round. Again, I apologize. So I want to, now that we're through most of the technical difficulties, go on to the basics. So really tonight is a introductory to paranormal training or paranormal investigations in our training part of it. In the beginning, I can't remember what I have said here and what I said in the previous video that I had to delete, but when you take this program and you watch these live streams, and I'm going to send out to the folks that are interested, I'm going to send out some of our training segments, some videos we have on YouTube that talk about the K2s and layouts of properties and things like that to kind of assist in this. It was originally part of the website training we had. And I've went away from that because it's just too cumbersome to keep up with all the people turning their worksheets and things like that, and it's just too complicated to keep up with. This is probably going to be simpler. So, as we talk about as we go through this 5 weeks, and we talk about the different components and the things we do, we're going to have, or I will have, tied together information in YouTube and maybe on PDF form or Word. And I will send that out to those that are interested. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to communicate that to me via Facebook on the Unexplained Investigators Messenger. You can go to our, send us a message there. Don't do a post. Do a private message to the TUI Facebook page, and then I will send you anything that you're asking about or would be looking for. So, and I started off the program I just deleted. Because there was no sound, talking about what to do after this. I encourage you, as you go through this, you're going to get a lot of information. Things are going to begin to click, and you're really going to want to just go out and do your thing. I'm not saying don't do that, but I don't encourage it. I would recommend highly that you work with a local team that has the same beliefs and thought process that you do, if you're able to find that. If not, don't think that you're going to go in and change that crew. their beliefs aren't going to change for you, and you're just going to cause bumps on the roads. At the end of the day, you probably going to be asked to leave or not invited back, and it could be animosities and things like that. And it's just not worth it. I mean, it's like anything else in life. It's, unless you're being something totally inappropriate is being done, you're being completely misused. It's just not worth starting a whole lot of trouble. Every team goes through it. Most folks have the same stories when it comes to paranormal teams and the things that have occurred. I could almost guarantee you, any group that you talk to out there, any team member you talk out there, will have a very similar story about their time in the paranormal world. So we'd be look for a group that has your same beliefs and same interest. And I always say look for the ones that are open. I try to be pretty open. There's times that maybe I'm not, but sometimes you just got to say no, and there's no nice way to put it. I worked for an employer one time, and I was a district manager, and we went into a store, and we had done some stuff. Walk to the store, talk to managers, things like that. And at the end of it, we were meeting with a counterpart of mine that shared the same stores, and we had things that we dealt with one another and shared information, things like that. And the conversation we had is, as we were having this, a conversation between myself, him, and an HR person and another regional manager to kind of walk us through. I told a store manager no about something. I said, I can't do that. And this gentleman did not understand why that was be. You do not tell them no. You don't tell it. You do it. I don't care what it takes. You do it. And we basically left it with him thinking he won. But at the end of the day, I didn't really battle it at the time that the request was made. It was something that was not in my ability to accomplish with what I had. And even if I would have been able to accomplish it, it would have produced no results. And my years of experience and things in that market and in that retail environment, best intentions on the store manager's part, but you know what? Been there, done that. 10 managers in the last 2 years had done, tried to do the same thing. And it's always a epic fail. But this was someone attempting to insert their dominance over me through using policy, procedure, and things like that. And then, you don't tell the manager no, kind of concept. Well, and I say that to say this. He went into that simply to win. He didn't go in because he really cared if I did or didn't do it, or if I would not have done it. He didn't care that I told the manager no. It was a certain his amount of time that he'd been with the company, his time and the people he knew, trying to insert dominance over me to get me not to do what I would normally do. No, I knew my job, and I knew it well, and I did it well, and that's why I was in the position I was in. That's why I moved as quickly as I did. But it wasn't worth the argument. I knew at the end of the day that he was 100% wrong, and he knew as well as everybody else did that I just don't tell people no. I mean, I don't. If there's something there that's I've been there, done that, or it's dangerously, I'm going to tell you no. But just keep, this is all kind of going with the personality thing. Just keep in mind that if you join these teams, most of them are I believe that orbs pick you up and carry you into space. I mean, that's an example. And you're not going to change that person's opinion on that, no matter how bad you argue about it. If you're the skeptic or in the middle of the road, you're not going to change their opinions. Just keep that in mind. So find a group that's closely believes what you believe. kind of the same focus, thought process, and understand there's going to be misunderstandings. There's going to be things that you don't agree on. It's just not worth trying to assert your dominance of your belief onto someone else, because they've been doing it their way for X amount of time, right or wrong or indifferent. They've been doing that, and they're probably not going to change for you. So that's kind of the negative things. But I just want to throw it out there because it is part of the course. Again, I try not to be that way. I try to be very open and take in information and let each person share and tell me what they have going on. But definitely be aware that there's opportunities out there that people are, when you talk to them, even if it's legitimate. I'm sorry, I apologize. Legitimate issue, then they may take exception to it. So, for the unexplained investigators, what do we believe, or what do I believe? I'm going to say we because it doesn't count for everybody. But what do I believe? Well, I believe that ghost in general, if that's what you're here for, is an energy. If anyone knows anything about the body, we got static electricity in us that keeps things going. Heart, brain. It's not high voltage, obviously, but it is there and keeps the body functioning. Well, when we cease to exist, where does this go? It's kind of like when you're doing static electricity and you scoot your feet across the carpet and you touch something or someone and you zap them. That zap that builds up in us throughout the day, and that zap that's keeping the heart going, the brain function, and some of the other organs, we cease to exist. Where does that release go? Where does that little bit of electricity, energy, where does it go to? And that's a good question. And does it contain anything? Does it contain any memory, any residual something? My personal opinion is, when that leaves our body, then in some capacity it retains something, more of a residual kind of energy, and it may replay things. It may affix to something. It may fix. That's what people talk about, an item that is possessed or an item that has an attachment. They don't think about it probably the way I'm going to say it, but an example is my cell phone. We all have this thing. Now, I don't consider it a personal. I mean, it is personal, but I don't consider it something that's sacred to me. I have items that there's a personal attachment to, and I do care about those items. This happens to a lot of people. But let's say that, today's day and age, this might be someone's thing. This is all I worry about. This is my brooch. This is my pocket watch. This is, my pocket knife, whatever heirloom that you may intend on passing on down the road to a family member or something like that. That may very well be the cell phone. But so let's say I pass away, and I've got the cell phone in my possession, or I know where it's at, and I visually picture that. Now I'm not talking telepathy. I apologize. Do bear with me, folks. Those of you that don't know, starting round 15 of chemo tomorrow. And the chemo really affects the speed. The brain gets a little foggy, and then sometimes the speed of the brain and the mouth don't function very well. And you get a lot of apologies from me for that. But that's, part of being terminally ill with cancer and having to do aggressive chemo and things like that to try to prolong life. Again, another sad part, but you know what? Got a good look out on it, and at this point, we're making strides. So it's not too sad just yet. But anyway, so let's say I pass away, and the cell phone is something that I have a personal connection with. And like I said, it may or may not be on me. It may be at home, but I know where it is. My brain I can visualize where it is. A concept that is out there and that I work off of is when you pass, if that's something that you're attached to and you think of that little bit of electricity or energy may very well leave you and go to that item. I'm not going to say it's 100%, but it may happen. Then again, if you're in a traumatic, let's say something traumatic happens, car accident, tornado, something like that, maybe you get affixed to the location you're at, or that energy gets affixed to a door, a window, a chair, or just the room in general. And you expire, you cease to be. Your spirit and soul moves forward, but this little bit of energy and electricity stays behind. And when the elements are correct with the atmosphere, you have this kickoff, and boom, you have a residual haunt, or you have some kind of haunt, some kind of activity. So that, to me, is the bulk of the paranormal stuff that we may or may not deal with. Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe in that there's a spirit or there's a realm where there's communication. That is, I'm very open to that. That is possibilities. That is out there. That's what everybody's trying to prove. But to think about in general practicality and being practical about what the potential of a haunt and what may be causing it, to me, that's the easiest concept, and that's the best way to explain it. It's a little bit more complicated than I explained, but it's easier for folks to understand when you kind of explain it that way. At least I do. I do believe in God. I do believe in the virgin birth. I do believe in the crucifixion, death, and resurrection of Christ. And I do believe whether you have been saved or not, there's a certain amount of protection. Satan was given dominion over things. He was given the ability to tempt us. He wasn't given the ability to outright attack and hurt us, nor is his demons. And that is a huge misconception out there. And I know biblically, the theologians, there's a little different discussion on it. And some believe one way, some don't believe the other, things like that. But that's not to say that you can't invite something to occur. So I'm not going to say all cases, but most cases of demonic activity or evil spirits, I dismiss, unless there's just something overwhelmingly there. I mean, and it has happened. There's been things there that is what it is. But it's always a clear indicator. It's clear it's there. It's clear how it got there. And so I say that to say this, that you're protected. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God and Jesus or not. You're protected, and they can generally only tempt you into sin or into temptations, things that you shouldn't do, unless you invite them in. You invite them into you, or invite them into interacting with you. That's a problem, and that's where ghost hunting becomes very critical, very dangerous. You've got to be careful. It is very clear biblically. Oh Lord, I'm sorry, but it's very clear in the Bible that you're not going to outsmart, you're not going to outtalk or outwit Satan, nor his minions. You're not going to do it. So you don't communicate with demons. The demon is there to lure you into something you shouldn't do, and most everybody deals with a demon every day. You just don't know it. Folks think that they're expecting that there's going to be this little creature running around that's bloody or burned or got glowing red eyes and fangs or horns, and it's just a mirror to things people think they're going to see. More often than not, it's just like a ghost you'd be dealing with. It's something that's not visible. You can feel it. You understand the presence is there. And oftentimes, because these things, people think they're there to scare you, they're there to intimidate you. And on TV, these demonologists, they show you that, this thing's it's gonna scratch you, it's gonna bite you, it's gonna beat you, it's gonna throw you against the wall, it's gonna rape you, all these things that these demons are gonna do. The reality is, unless you invite that, biblically, that's just not gonna happen. You have to invite that demon to do these things or into your life like that. So you got to be really careful that you don't do it. And you got to be really careful that when the whole demonology thing comes up and the scratches and the bites, that you understand clearly. Unless you've invited that, more than likely it's something else. But it's not impossible for that to happen. I want to make that clear. It is possible those things could happen. But you do want to make sure that before you get involved in any investigation that you understand clearly as you go into it, so that that it's something demonic, and you may or may not decide that you want to deal with that. I don't. If somebody says it's a demon or it's demonic, short of coming there and praying with you and trying to pray it out of the house, not a lot I can do for you. It's not something that's not something I want to deal with. It's documented enough in the Bible. What else am I going to document that hadn't already been documented? So throwing a little bit of the demon side of it there with the belief part. But definitely, as far as belief goes, if you've confessed your faith and belief in Christ, then you are anointed. You are covered. Again, unless you do something totally crazy, you shouldn't have to worry about it. I know people do protection prayers and people do all these different things, and that's good. I mean, I'm not saying not do it. I don't personally do them. I don't say not do them. But at the end of the day, that's really a personal thing. That's something that you do on your own or you do as a group. But I'm going to put it to you simplest way I can. If you think of a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old and you tell that 2-year-old, 3-year-old, do not get off the couch or don't touch the TV. What's the likelihood that when you walk out of the room that's going to stay in effect? Kids are curious, chances are they're going to get up and push the button on the TV. It'll say something else. It'll say that you bring in a bag of cookies or something and put it on the kitchen table, and you tell the child, don't mess with it. No matter what age that is, don't mess with it. Eventually that temptation is going to become too much, and they're going to go get that cookie. So the concept that you're going to tell an entity, it doesn't matter what it is, demonic, residual, spirit, whatever you want to say it is, the thought process that you're going to go to a point and tap something or just say, you can't come past here. You're not Jesus Christ. You're not God. You cannot establish a line like that. In other words, what you're telling me is that you believe that your faith is such that you can say, you can't come past this line. You can't follow me home. You can't attach to me. But your faith isn't strong enough to protect you without that. It's a kind of a contradictory if you think about it. You contradict yourself. So I don't practice them because, quite frankly, one, I don't think that it's going to do you any good. If you are dealing with something that wants to follow you, it's going to follow you. If you're dealing with something that's going to attach itself to you, then you've invited that to happen. That's stuff that just cannot happen on its own. That's my personal opinion. Some people on my team believe other things, and that's fine. And I allow them to do their protection prayers, and I allow them to walk up and touch the doorway and say, you can't come past this threshold, just only to 3 weeks later get a phone call from the client that says, hey, that little spirit Bobby Joe is in the kitchen throwing pots. Happens every single time. So to say that I don't have that I'm not covered and I'm not protected through faith, to simply turn around and say have the thought process that through faith I can seal this board, that make this barrier, or say this can't be, and that entity has to listen to me. It's just not accurate at all. Even in the spiritual side, looking at supernatural, looking at the demons and things like that, same process. You can't tell them what to do. They're there to tempt you. So that's some stuff to get, food for thought, things to think about. So as a group, as a team, what does TUI expect? Well, obviously, we would like for the person to be of a Christian faith, and so I'm not going to get into what level where I expect you to be, but that's kind of my concept. And I've had folks that quite honestly didn't believe in God, or they believed in God and things, but they didn't believe the exact structure I do, and that's fine. But you have to at least understand where I'm coming from, because I'm going to give you that. I'm going to understand where you come from, and that way I have a better. If I know that, I feel better about you being involved. I don't worry as much that maybe you would invite something, because we have had team members who would invite. Would say, I don't believe there's anything here, and if something's here, then come in. Come into my body and talk through me, or crazy stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we don't do that. I mean, yeah, you ask for that, you could very well get demon possessed. That's a strong possibility. Let's leave well enough alone. So, having that in the beginning, it helps. It allows me to know that you've got, and I'm not saying you have to go to church every Sunday. I'm not saying that, period. I'm just saying that I know, where you're at with that. And the next expectation is to be a team player. Be willing to listen as well as give input. Be willing to understand that we're not always going to see eye to eye, none of us, and that we're really there to have the one to help, but to have fun and have a good time with, because it gets exciting. When you get something happen, it gets absolutely exciting. We were sharing yesterday, we were talking about a story that we at a location we did where we had something walk up a ramp and walk right up to us. And that was absolutely amazing. We didn't see it, but the footsteps came right to us. And, it was very exciting. So those things happen. So we're there to have it. We're there to have fun, help, and learn, and document things. So being a team player is critical. Aside from being a team player, deciding what you want to do. What do you want your forte to be on the team? We're pretty open. We have the photography, videography, documenter, team lead, case managers, safety officer. We have many positions out there, many things that people could transition to, and oftentimes we all wear many hats. So because there's not a lot of us, so sometimes you do 2 or 3 roles, and so each person you decide, and that's what kind of these 5 weeks would help you do. You decide in these 5 weeks what it is you would like to do. Some people are really good at documenting, and they want to be collecting the data, and they feel good doing that, and they learn a lot because, quite frankly, they're getting everything from me. They're getting everything from the next person, that person. So everybody that's doing something has to report to this person so they can document it, and it has to be professional and concise. And so they actually learn quickly, probably even more quickly than somebody that says, hey, all I want to do is photography, or hey, all I want to do is EVPs. Hey, all I want to do is K2. Not very exciting, in my opinion, on those things, but some people it is. So if that's what you want to do, you can do that. But remember, that documenter, you have to communicate everything to that documenter. So the documenter can get it in writing, the date, the time, the location, and then then they have to radio the base camp and get barometer and the other environmental stuff to get it documented. So that's you still go back to that person. And a safety officer, that's another great one. That doesn't sound too important, I don't guess, but it is. Our safety officers have the ability to, that's it, we're leaving. This room isn't safe. Whatever we're doing is, the floors are about ready to cave in, or we're in the woods and there's a cliff over here, there's a ditch, there's rain, there's a flood coming, rain, potential flash flood, all these things. That person can say, we're done. We're going back to base. And everybody in the group that's there, doesn't matter who you are. If I'm there and the safety person says, we've got to go, then I've got to go. The safety person is not the person in charge of the particular group, whatever that, wherever they go and investigate within that location. But when it comes to their specific, which is safety, comes to their specific piece, they are in control. That's it. Now I can't do anything if somebody says I ain't leaving. I'm gonna stay right here. Y'all can go. I'm staying here. I cannot physically come remove you. I cannot physically arrest you. I cannot physically. Well, I guess I could beat you, but I mean, I wouldn't do that. Doesn't make any sense. But it's the only thing I can do about that. You're a free person. It's not a job. It's a volunteer organization. You choose to do that. You choose to do it. But here's what will happen. You will not be a part of the organization as soon as you say, I'm not leaving. As soon as you say, I'm not leaving, you're no longer part of TUI. That's reality. Because I mean, it's that serious. I don't care what it is. And I don't care how bogus. I don't care if they say we need to leave because this is going to happen. We'll get back to base camp and we realize there's no way in hell that could have ever happened. No matter what that safety person thinks, there's no way in hell that could have happened. So they were perfectly safe to begin with. The person just overthought it, panicked, whatever, and said, let's go. I don't care. If you choose to stay, you've just now broken a cardinal rule. And those are in place for your safety. And why is that critical? Well, it's critical because paranormal people make stupid mistakes every single day. And I go back to my law enforcement days, and I used to watch these, and we had to watch training videos of officers that were shot in the line of duty or killed in other capacities in the line of duty. They would be driving a vehicle, shot and killed, stabbed and killed. Doesn't matter. Sometimes just severely wounded. We had to watch those videos, and I remember watching those and thinking, oh, God, why would he have done that? Or why wouldn't he have already been at this level? Why wouldn't, So you see it, and I was one of those that really took that stuff to heart. And I was like, because I didn't want to be killed on the side of the road. I didn't want to be killed in somebody's house. Not that you can always stop it from happening. Because, they can ambush you and they can, sniper shoot you. There's ways it can happen, as we've seen in recent times. But I really watched these videos and really took a lot of information from it and understood that, this is important. It isn't, safety and life what we do is important. So, when these safety people, when I have the safety crew out there or safety person out there, we've talked safety. We've pre-walked the location. We've talked it, and it's critical that we follow the procedures because we have them there for a reason. It's to keep everybody safe. So one, we can keep going back and have a good time. So there's groups out there that don't have that, and that's where I'm going. And a prime example for North Carolina is several, and I'm not going to name the group. But anyway, so some of their members had went to a local train trestle, and started across. They were walking across it. Well, that's dangerous. If you don't know the train schedule, which can and typically don't change, but it can change. If you don't know the train schedule, trains aren't. People think they're slow. Trains aren't going slow. Trains are going, some cases 65 miles an hour. In some areas, a heck of a lot faster than that. A little known fact: trains do have a speed limit through the cities. So we would occasionally sit and run radar on trains. Now, did we really think that we were going to chase the train down and give it a ticket? No, we didn't think that. But we could run the radar, document it, and notify the corporation off the engine number, things like that. This train came through at this time. This is the engine number, and it came through the city at this speed. Because sometimes they came through at 55 miles an hour. Well, that's not a good speed to get through a city. So even trains were subject to radar speed, and but they go fast. The cities, they're doing 35 miles per hour. That's fast. And so these folks end up on trestle. And one of the stories was you would hear a train and you'd hear a horn, and it's a ghost train. So basically, they're on the trestle. They hear a train coming, and they decide it's the ghost train, and they stay. And unfortunately, one dies and two are seriously injured. That's why we, one, don't trespass, and I'll make just no way around it. If it is an active train track that belongs to Norfolk Southern or another one of the railroad companies, you cannot be on those railroad tracks for no reason, no purpose. Unless Norfolk Southern or whatever that train company is gives you authority, you cannot be on those train tracks. And it has to be in writing. And you have to pre-notify law enforcement when you're going to be there. It's a huge deal. You can be arrested for trespassing just simply by being on the tracks. And that's not just the tracks. That's the I think it's like 20 foot either way of the railroad. You could be arrested for trespassing. And the reason the railroads have such a large area from either side of the track is when they're hauling things, they have these straps, and they're metal straps. And over the years, it's happened a lot throughout the country, these straps would pop loose and they're metal, and they would basically be flopping off either side of the train, and it's like a razor blade. And people were decapitated, sliced in half, mortally wounded in various different capacities by these straps and other things that would fall off the train. And trains, I don't know if you understand the braking system on the train. This will be my last thing on trains. But trains use sand. And sand is sent out in front of the wheels, and the friction between the sand hitting the rail and the wheel is how the train slows. So if you're at a train, near a train, and the train's braking, there has been a history of people with eye damage from getting this. Obviously, it's going to be molten sand practically by the time it comes from underneath that train wheel into their eyes. So there's various reasons that they have that opening. So anyway, these folks, like I said, one died, two injured, and that's local North Carolina. That's not across the country. I mean, at least 3 investigators a year die doing dumb things. So it's critical that we have the safety person there, but it's also critical that you follow local, state, and federal law when it comes to buildings and things. There's a lot of places I would love just to go and investigate, but I can't, simply because I'm not going to be that guy that gets arrested for trespassing. Or let's say I don't get arrested, but let's say the sheriff or police, they come and they find me there in the building. Anytime I'm anywhere else and they happen to be there, they're going to automatically suspect I'm doing the wrong thing. So it's best not to ever have that happen. So next expectation, aside from being a team player, is to be willing to learn. Be willing, just not know that today I may, and I'm not saying this is an example. I may not believe in orbs at all, but tomorrow, because I see some things are pointed out, I've been enlightened. Maybe I do believe in orbs 100%, and that's an example. So be willing to learn. Be willing to understand that there's a lot of proof given, an overwhelming amount, that probably you need to start going with that. That's not always the case. I'm just saying, be open to that, open to learning. And really, lastly, is to be yourself and be willing to stay who you are, not because Jeff Porter says this is what it is. Now that's what you're going to believe. Just because I happen to be pushing in the air and saying, hey man, this air feels really thick. It feels heavy. There's something there. And then a photo down the road that was taken while it was happening, we see an orb or we see an apparition. I don't want you then going around everywhere going, there's something right here. There's something here. Be honest, be willing to share when it's truthful, but don't pick up patterns of behaviors and begin to try to use them to your advantage to make you look more experienced than you are, or maybe know more than you do. None of us want to feel dumb. None of us want other people to be looking at us like we're the person on the team that don't know the most. None of us want that. And I'm never gonna. I try my dangest not to do that to people. Um, you often do it to yourself by over talking. I do in my employment experience. I always didn't know when. I didn't always know when to shut up, and oftentimes got myself into trouble. So or into issues. So you just just got to be thoughtful about those things and just stick to it. Sum it up. Just stay who you are, and you're going to change. You are going to grow, and you're going to develop, and that's all going to come natural. And as it happens, you transition and go into it smoothly. So it's kind of a long synopsis of our of that part of the paranormal stuff. Um, the orientation introduction to that piece. Um, 5 chapters like this is really orientation, kind of introductory of who we are as TUI, like I said, and what we as a team, or at least what I believe in as a team, kind of our concept and how we move in and around and things. Um, the next few blocks we'll be we will get it. We'll start getting into equipment. We'll start getting into investigative forms. We'll get into terminology. We'll get into paranormal terminology. We'll get into the who, what, when, where, why, and how we do things as the unexplained investigator. So, as we move into these five blocks, if you think of any questions, any suggestions, and maybe you see something that we're doing that you happen to already know that's not the right way to do it, feel free to share that. I mean, I'm not going to be upset by it. I might be confused. I ain't going to say won't be, but I may be confused. I'm not sure how I missed that, but that always we're always open to learning new things. So, aside from tonight, where we had a lot of technical difficulties, um, the next Tuesday we'll have a better format. And next Tuesday we will be going. I will be screen sharing some of the information. I kind of plan on doing that this evening, but with not with the computer being down for over an hour, get started an hour late, and then I had the audio, which I was on here for I think 10, 15, maybe 10 minutes, and having audio issues. I had to go off, come back in. Really, kind of threw everything off key. I didn't want to sit here, but going through the introductory on in the orientation on the computer because it's just a little cumbersome, and I want to kind of rush it up a little bit. And so I've probably missed a few points that I would normally go over. Not anything critical, just simply because of the technical difficulties. Next week we should not have any technical difficulties, so it should go really smooth. I will be pulling. I will the different forms I'll pull up. Any video, any YouTube videos that we have, like I said in the beginning, that has anything to do with that block of instruction, then I'll put a link out within this live stream. And so following the live stream and pull the video up. And I'll probably go through this, depending on how I feel this week, I'll probably go through and add into the comment section, add the links to videos that may coincide with the next live stream. So if you wanted to look at it in the beginning, so then when we were live streaming, then you could ask a question, something you think makes sense to you. That hopefully I can get that done. That will be an asset. But if I'm not able to, it will be on there after or during the live stream. And any questions you have, simply message me and let me know. And I ask that you message us on the Unexplained Investigators Facebook page, because if I'm not able to get to it, somebody else is. And they can ask me a question. If they don't have the answer, they'll get it to me in case I missed it. Because oftentimes nowadays with the email, unfortunately, I get things, and more than likely I don't ever get back to it. I forget it, and until somebody calls me on it, it's out. So. But at the end of the day, I hope this orientation piece of it is helpful. I am going to switch through here quickly and I was gonna share the screen, but I don't see a purpose in it. Like I said, because of all the technical difficulties that we had. Yeah, let me see if I can get it up. It's actually block 5. And I guess I should add this in here. Block 5, and I'm going to leave that up to the folks that are going to be doing the live stream. Block 5 really consists of a live investigation. And I'm not, yeah, I'll keep it secret. I was going to say, I'm not going to keep it a secret, but I will. I'll keep the locations quiet till to the end, to the last live stream. How we'll do that, I'm not 100% sure. Anybody interested in going out on the investigation, we'll schedule a date and a time, and hopefully you're able to make it. If not, we can always do a makeup date for 1 or 2 people, or maybe a team thing where that person is allowed to come with the TUI team to do something. So we'll look and see how that plays out. So this is block 1. It's our introduction. Like I said, I mean, I went through quite a bit of information, and it's what I consider the meat. Block 2 will be understanding investigations, and that's when we'll start. We'll talk about document. We'll talk about each role a little bit more, or at least the who, what, when, where, why, and how that plays. I can see my orb chasing around over here. My little mostly activity I have in here in the office, right? So, and as you can tell, the cameras are fixed, the lights are fixed. There's nothing moving. I mean, I'm not physically moving anything around. Okay, so then we go into. I'm sorry. Uh, Understanding investigations. That's block 2. Make sure I get that in there. Um, and that's going to be the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And we'll get into the basics of understanding criminal investigation. Well, criminal investigations, because it's basically the process we use. And then we'll go into block 3, and that's going to be equipment, and that's really just the basic equipment. It's not anything technical that we'll get in. We'll talk about the standard instrumentation that's used, and we will also talk about some of the newer stuff. And I leave that up to everybody on if they want to purchase stuff, if they think it's worth using or not. There's so many gimmicks and gadgets out there right now. It's kind of ridiculous, and most of them wouldn't work anyway. Then block 4 is documenting, and that's pretty critical. Probably the most critical part we have on investigation, and that'll yeah, I don't want to say it's intense, but it's I push that really hard. An example of kind of a drop in the ball failure in it. We were going through our boxes yesterday, last night, and I found our some data sheets. Well, I have no idea what case they go with. So I can go back, the information's on there, I can go back and find it and get them in the file. But more likely, we're probably in a rush. Somebody just threw them in one of the boxes and they'll hand them over to me. And they just got misplaced. And we had them, we found them, they'll get put in the file, but that's not what I'd like to have happen. And that's just as much my fault as it is whoever did it, simply because the boxes come back to my place. I typically sort through them and get them into place, and I just overlooked them. So even I missed them. So it's not any one individual's fault; it's mine. And we'll get into the documenting and downloading. That's all part of the investigation. I'm about ready to get sidetracked. Start talking about how we do all that. That's all part of the training program as well. And like I said, block 5 is an investigation. So we'll do. This is the introductory. Then we will do really the core starts in 2. block 2, 3, and 4. At the end of block 4, you really have the concept, and then 5, we'll do another live stream, and it's going to be a recap of everything. And at the end of that block 5, then is when we'll open it up to anybody that wants to come out and be part of the investigation. It's not required. You don't have to do it. If you do decide to come out and be a part of an investigation after block 5, we will do a certificate completion for the course, and they're pretty nice. I mean, it's not a certificate or license or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. It's just it's a certificate showing that you went through our program, and I don't just issue them to anybody that went through the program, and we feel confident that you know what you're doing, that you're safe in what you're doing. The only thing with the certificate is that we do require a background check, and that's really just the criminal and sex offender side. We don't look at credit or anything like that, but we do look at the criminal history, and it doesn't rule you out. If you've been arrested for I can't think of a charge, but non-serious things like that, it doesn't rule you out. I mean, I guess if something pops off the top of my head, a bad check or something at some bounce check at some point or something like that. There's been 10 or more years between that offense and this. We wouldn't rule people out for that. Really, we look for the serious felonies, assaults, assaults, burglaries, things like that. We would not. I wouldn't issue that. So anyway, that's kind of how the program will end. Hopefully, you didn't get to see the whole video or the whole live stream from the beginning to now. You can go back and review it. I'm not sure the time that we have on here, how long I've went. I've rambled a little bit, but truly apologize for the beginning. Like I said, the bringing all the equipment back in today. I knocked wires loose. I thought I had everything back together. It took me a while to get everything running. For some reason, my monitor and computer weren't communicating. That put me an hour behind. And then I don't know if you joined in right at 8 o'clock, but I was talking, no sound. So the audio wasn't working. And luckily I was able to figure it out. But logged out, logged back in, was able to figure it out. So hopefully next week we won't have any technical difficulties like that. As long as we don't, it'll run smooth. We'll get in at 7 o'clock, knock off the 8 o'clock, and we should be good to go from there. So if anybody has any questions here in the near future, go back and watch the videos. This one and any of the others. You have any questions? Message us, message me on Facebook, and we'll get you that. We'll get you the information. Well, until next Tuesday, I hope everybody has a good week. I will be incapacitated pretty much all day tomorrow with chemo. It's my long day on chemotherapy. It's my hard day when they give me all the pre-meds and all that mess. It just makes you feel bad. But then Thursdays all day. They put the chemo pump on me, and I have it on until Friday. So next 3 days, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel. If I feel good, I'll be on and about. So if you have any questions, you'll see me on Facebook. Just let me know. If I'm feeling good, I'll get hold of you. If not, I'll put you on the hope not to forget list. So if you have anything critical and I don't answer in a few days, give me just Sunday or Monday and then re-message it to me. And hopefully I'll be able to reply by then. I usually, as long as I'm able to rest Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm usually pretty decent going into Monday. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty decent. So, like I said, until next Tuesday, have a good week. And if you have any questions, simply let me know. All right. Have a good evening.